Chapter 5. Poison's Breath. Primum and Elpis had been heading eastward for about 3 days. It was afternoon. The cold felt dull and still, yet all-enveloping. They stood atop a small hill overlooking a shallow bog. The sky darkened to an unwelcoming grey. Primum took a deep breath. "I love the smell of swamp." Elpis winced. "What?" he exclaimed. "It smells disgusting. How can you like it?" Primum laughed. "Reminds me of home," he said with a smile. "You're messing with me again, aren't you, Primum?" said Elpis as they walked down the hill. "No, I wish I was, boy. I had the displeasure of growing up in that foul place." Elpis looked up toward Primum. "So we're from the same homeland?" Primum looked down with a smirk. "No. I'm a knight. I renounced this place. It's not my homeland anymore," he said mockingly. "That doesn't count, Primum," Elpis said, pouting. Primum's laughter echoed through the bog as they continued to traverse the increasingly murky terrain. Elpis was having particular difficulty, often getting stuck. Primum used these opportunities to tease him relentlessly. The fog became oppressively dense, and Primum's laughter lowered into quiet chuckles and murmurs. "Are you worried about something, Primum?" Elpis said quietly. "What?" Primum yelled, then let out a loud, roaring laugh. "No, it's nothing. Just sniffing." "Don't worry about anything. Nobody's following us, and it's impossible for anyone to track us through this bog." Suddenly, a splash echoed from the distance. "Danger," Primum said with a teasing smile. Elpis gave a look of frustration and relief. Then Primum's face shifted. Before Elpis could react, Primum grabbed him by the back of his shirt and threw him onto his back. "Danger," Primum repeated, this time in an embarrassed tone. Elpis turned to see a horde of skeletons running behind them. Primum swiftly braced himself and sprinted through the bog with blistering speed. The skeletons continued to rise from all around them. Primum drew his axe and swiftly batted through a pair of skeletons as if they were held up by string. "What are those things, Primum?" said Elpis in confused panic. "Skeletons," Primum replied shortly, his tone sharp and focused as he cleaved through another pair rising from the black ooze. He pushed forward to higher ground, finding a slope that cut through the fog. His stance shifted. Elpis felt a pulse within him. He grabbed his chest. "What is this feeling?" "I can see solid land off in the distance. Looks suitable to escape the bog." "Hold tight," Primum said. Elpis wrapped his arms around him. Primum launched himself from the slope in an impressive feat of acrobatics, hurling them dozens of feet through the mist. He swung his axe in a clean vertical motion, then fanned it across in a brutal arc, tearing through several skeletons unfortunate enough to be in range. Suddenly, a putrid taste overwhelmed Elpis. "Cover your nose. Hold your breath." Primum sprinted faster than Elpis thought possible, swinging his axe in a furious whirlwind. Elpis's eyes burned. He closed them, but they stung worse. His throat tightened. His lungs ached for air. "Hold on just a little longer, Elpis," Primum shouted encouragingly. Elpis felt as if the air itself was choking him, constricting his lungs and throat until his heart threatened to explode. His pain worsened with panic. Desperately, he tried to open his eyes to regain orientation, but the fog invaded his vision. Slowly, the stinging faded. "You can breathe now," said Primum, breathing heavily. Elpis opened his eyes and took a deep breath. He did this a few more times before managing words. "Huff. What was that, Primum?" he asked dazedly. "Night fog," Primum said. Elpis gathered his senses and observed his surroundings. They stood atop a steep slope. Below, a yellowish fog pooled at the base. Through the sickly haze, faint shadows and a clattering sound could be heard. "Will the skeletons follow us up here?" Elpis asked, concerned. "Unlikely," Primum replied confidently. "The necromancer who bound them to that bog keeps them there as an obstacle, to distract from the night fog." "How can you be so sure?" Elpis asked with uneasy curiosity. "Those skeletons were too weak to be anything but fodder," Primum said with a grin. Elpis could still hear the clattering of bones closer than he liked. "Is there another way we can go, Primum?" he asked. "Check my bag." "I should have a map. Grab the compass, too," Primum said. Elpis dismounted and rummaged through Primum's bag. After a few moments, he muttered in an annoyed tone, "What's a map look like?" Primum laughed. "Have you never seen a map?" he asked, incredulous. "No," Elpis said, embarrassed. Primum took off his bag and knelt to search. "It's got a lot more supplies now. When did you get all this, Primum?" Elpis asked. "Granny gave them to me," Primum said casually. "She let you have all this?" Elpis said, confused. "I forgot to ask," Primum replied with a mischievous smile. "Primum, you stole from a blind old woman," Elpis said in a shameful tone. "Hey, I was overdue on a favor," Primum said. "For what?" Elpis demanded. Primum snapped his attention to the sky. Elpis followed his gaze. The air had grown eerily still. Every sound felt distant, yet heavy. Elpis looked around. He saw nothing. He turned to Primum, whose gaze weakened. "Did you see something?" Elpis asked. "No, nothing. Just shadows playing tricks," Primum said with a casual grin. Elpis glanced once more at the sky. "That disgusting gray sky," he muttered. Primum pulled a long rolled parchment from his bag. "This, my boy, is a map," he said grandly. "Okay, well, how do you read it?" Elpis asked curiously. Primum swept aside the ashen soil and laid the map flat. "I'll teach you. First, orient yourself to your surroundings. Look for something massive and distinct." Elpis studied the horizon. Mountains surrounded them in a crescent formation. "We're encircled by mountains. It makes a crescent moon shape." "Look," Elpis said, tracing it with his finger. "Wonderful." "That means we're somewhere around here," Primum said, pointing. "Looks like the only way through is the bog," he muttered, glancing at Elpis. "Are we trapped, Primum?" Elpis asked nervously. Primum examined the ridgeline above the slope. "We can follow the ridge eastward as far as it goes," he said with a confident nod, glancing at his compass. He gathered his things, slung them over his shoulder, and began walking toward the ridge. Elpis followed, but turned suddenly when he heard an intense rattle from the poisonous mists. He squinted but could see nothing. The fog crept toward them. Primum placed a hand on Elpis's shoulder. "Don't worry, they won't follow." "But the night fog will, if we don't move." Elpis stared once more into the yellow haze before joining Primum. It danced along the slope's edge like a beast devouring the earth beneath it. They walked above the fog from the ridge. Elpis caught faint whiffs of its foulness. "It feels like we've been walking for days," he thought. Yet the oppressive grey remained unchanged. Primum suddenly halted. "To the right of us," he said cautiously. Elpis turned, wrinkling his nose from an even fouler stench. A large cavern gaped in the ridge, coated in muck and ancient soil. Primum shoved Elpis aside. The world slowed for him. In an instant, a massive stalagmite crashed where he had stood, splitting the ground with thunderous force. The ridge quaked. Loose soil gave way. Elpis slipped but grabbed solid ground, his legs brushed by the cold poison mist below. Pulling himself up, he saw Primum staring as another stalagmite hurtled toward him. A massive, ashen, leather-skinned beast, barrel-chested and 4 men tall, stood holding the rock like a club. Its hide was blistered and calloused, a bloodshot vein pulsing through its lone eye. A jagged horn crowned its brow. Its mouth contorted, unleashing a roar that shook the Crescent Valley. Elpis's ears rang. He covered them, collapsing from the force. Primum snatched him up and ran toward the cavern. Elpis's heart thundered in rhythm with the ringing. He glimpsed the beast swing again. Primum ducked, narrowly dodging. "It's targeting me," Elpis thought with dread. "Strap in, kid," Primum commanded. "No, let me help," Elpis shouted. The beast charged, reckless fury in motion. Elpis broke from Primum and found his footing. The creature lunged. He sprinted to the side, barely escaping its reach. The shockwave of wind slid him across the earth. "Focus," Elpis thought, regaining composure. He studied the beast, unfazed by its own collision. Primum rushed up. "What are you doing, boy?" "Are you mad? You told me to study my prey, remember?" "This isn't a fish. It's a sron pianak," Primum snapped. The beast paced left and right, its single eye fixed on Elpis. The ground trembled under its rage. Elpis met its gaze with calm focus. "That's it," he muttered. "Primum, I'm going to give you an opening." "What?" Primum shouted. Elpis dashed toward the creature. It raised its rock club and smashed the ground. He dodged right, sliding through the mud. The beast roared again, swinging downward. Elpis dove between its legs, narrowly avoiding being crushed. It panicked, stomping erratically, unable to adjust. Elpis sprinted out behind it. "Now!" Elpis shouted. Primum had positioned himself perfectly. He tightened his grip and swung his axe at the beast's heel. Flesh tore with a brutal sound. The monster roared in agony. Using the momentum, Primum cleaved the other heel cleanly. Blood burst forth as the beast collapsed, its cries fading to a guttural whimper, then silence. "Don't ever do that again, Elpis," Primum barked. "I only did what you taught me," Elpis said shyly. "What if you were wrong? How can I protect you if you run headfirst into danger?" "Because I know you can," Elpis said softly. Primum paused, exhaling. "Didn't know I could meet someone almost as stubborn as me." "Listen, battle's unpredictable. Best to let me handle things when you can." Elpis nodded, but the stench hit him again. "Primum, can we leave? This place is vile." Primum sniffed and winced. "I'd rather stay in the night fog than another minute here." "Let's go." They approached the cave's mouth. Elpis glanced back at the slain beast and grinned. "Well, Primum, that's 2 monsters slain for gore." He froze. A cold sting pierced between his shoulders. Wind rushed past his face. He looked down, his feet lifted from the ground. A massive skeletal bird carried him aloft. "Primum, help!" Elpis screamed. Primum shouted something, but Elpis couldn't make it out. A sudden blow struck his head. His vision went white, then black. Elpis awoke to the faint echo of dripping. His head throbbed. A cold breath seemed to seep from the ground itself. He blinked. Dim candlelight flickered against earthen walls. "I must be underground," he thought. The room wasn't made of stone, but of compacted dirt. Shadows twisted across the crude chamber, deepening the darkness beyond the candle's glow. A wooden door creaked open. Elpis jolted, pulling himself upright and scanning frantically for cover. His eyes caught a cluttered shelf, filled with jars, bones, and small oddities, above a grotesque altar holding the candle. Footsteps shuffled closer. More than one set. His heart began to pound. I have to run. He bolted toward the door, but something yanked his leg out from under him. He fell hard, his breath knocked from him. Green fire flared to life across the room. The walls illuminated with a sickly hue. Bones covered the ground. Elpis twisted around and saw his leg gripped by a skeletal hand emerging from the soil. "You're awake." "Good," a voice said. "I was concerned I'd have to report you injured to the praetor." Elpis looked up. A man stood there, his body painted in red runes, his skin draped with bones of varying sizes. Covering his face was a wolf's skull, still bloodied with scraps of flesh and fur. "I knew you would try to cross my burial grounds," the man hissed, stepping closer. He leaned down, studying Elpis's face. "You gave us quite a scare." He straightened, chuckling lowly. "Who are you?" Elpis shouted. "Watch your tone, boy," the figure snapped. The cold, skeletal hand around Elpis's leg tightened. Pain shot up his body. Elpis clenched his fists and bit his tongue to avoid crying out. The man waved his hand. More skeletons erupted from the ground, pushing Elpis against the wall. Their green-lit eyes flickered unnaturally. Elpis's chest tightened. His breath came in ragged bursts. "It feels like the night fog," he thought. "I must stay calm." He tried to steady himself, scanning the room for a way out. But the hollow eyes drew closer, smothering what little focus he had. The man waved his hand again, and the skeletons released him. Elpis collapsed, gasping for breath. "There's no escape for you, boy. I'll make sure of that." Elpis tuned out the voice, focusing on his breathing. The touch of the dead still lingered, colder than Primum's armor. The man turned toward the altar. Its green light pulsed violently as he began to chant, "Amatora, Veshna Rei, Amatora, Veshna Rei." "What?" The glow flickered. The man froze, muttering curses. He looked back at Elpis, frustration twisting his voice. "Don't move, boy. I'll return shortly." He left hastily, leaving Elpis guarded by the clattering dead. Elpis's panic began to dull. He focused on the rhythm of his breath. "I have to escape, before more come. He's keeping me here for the praetor." He searched the room again and again. Nothing. The minutes felt endless, time stretching like a nightmare. His chest tightened. He shook, tears forming as the dread crept in. "Help me, Primum," he whispered. "Hey, you, boy." Elpis's head snapped up. "Yes, you," said a small muffled voice. "Where are you?" "Who are you?" Elpis whispered. "You're not really in a position to make demands," the voice replied mockingly. The skeletons pressed closer, bones scraping against each other. "I can get you out of here," the voice said. "How?" Elpis asked, barely moving his lips. "That thief is using my aura. These skeletons serve me. Free me, and I'll release you." "I can't. I'm trapped." "Release them, and I can free you." "I have eyes," the voice said with irritation. "Where are you?" "You ask too many useless questions. Do we have a deal or not?" "How can—" A skeleton hissed, thrusting its skull inches from his face. Elpis flinched. "How can I help you?" he asked hurriedly. Up here, the shelf. Elpis glanced up. A small glass jar sat atop the clutter, containing a two-horned creature, with hooves and black wings darker than Primum's armor. "My name's Dolus," it said, "and I'm here to help." "You're an imp," Elpis said, shocked. "You're a sharp one," Dolus said dryly. "I know better than to trust a trickster." "I'm no trickster," Dolus said, smiling. "I'm an honest and fair deal-maker. And who's to say if I free you, you'll actually help me?" Dolus sighed. "Fine. My word is my bond, and I'm bonded to my word. I'll free you if you free me. Fair deal." "Okay. Well, how?" "What do you mean, how?" "With that radiant aura of yours. I don't know how to use it." "What?" Dolus muttered to himself angrily, then chuckled. "Heh. I can help you channel it. Then you can free me." "All right. Good. Focus on me, boy." The skeleton's grip tightened, as if mocking Elpis. He grimaced but tried to focus. "Boy, pay attention," Dolus hissed. "Wait, you said you're bonded to your word, right?" "Yes. If you free me, I free you." "Yeah. But if you channel my aura, you're really just helping yourself." Dolus banged his tiny fists on the glass. "You caught that," he grumbled. "I want a new bond," Elpis said steadily. "If I use my aura to free you, whether through you or me, you still free me." Dolus groaned. "Fine. My word is my bond, and I'm bonded to my word. If I use your aura to free myself, I'll free you." "What do I do?" Elpis asked. "Not much. Focus on the glass. Just stare. I'll handle the rest." Elpis obeyed. He fixed his gaze on the jar. A tingling sensation sparked in his chest, the same feeling he'd felt before with Primum. It spread through his body, shifting into countless sharp pinpricks beneath his skin, crawling toward his eyes. The sensation intensified until the glass cracked, then shattered completely. "Ah, excellent." And just as promised, Dolus waved his hand, and the skeletons released Elpis, stepping aside. Elpis rushed forward. "Thanks, Dolus," he said with relief. "My pleasure." "What's your name, boy?" "Elpis." "Well, Elpis," Dolus said cheerfully. "You did well catching my trick. But I've got a reputation to keep. Getting outsmarted twice doesn't look good on me. Nothing personal, but—" Dolus waved his hand. More skeletons rose behind Elpis. "I'll give you a head start since I like you," he said with a grin, vanishing into the shadows. Elpis ran. Behind him, the skeletons clattered to life, screeching and pursuing. He burst through the doorway into a sprawling underground ossuary, corridors lined with ancient bones and skulls. He didn't think, just sprinted, twisting through one tunnel after another, as the horde followed without pause. "How do I outrun something that doesn't breathe?" he thought in panic. He turned a corner and froze. "Primum," he gasped. Primum looked up, eyes widening. Relief turned to disbelief. "Run!" Elpis shouted. "Huh?" Primum blinked. A wall of skeletons slammed into the corridor behind Elpis. "Oh, what did you do?" Primum grabbed Elpis and ran. "What in the goddess's name happened?" he shouted. "I don't even know where to start," Elpis replied with a sheepish grin. Primum shook his head, sprinting faster. Behind them, the skeleton's noise faded like ghosts dissolving into mist. "How are you this fast, Primum?" Elpis asked breathlessly. "I come from good stock, my boy." Elpis caught the smell of fresh air. They burst from the underground into pale moonlight. Primum set Elpis down, but their relief vanished as the red-marked man stepped from the shadows. "Give me the boy," he bellowed. Before Elpis could blink, Primum was gone from his side. The man froze. A heartbeat later, 2 heavy thuds struck the ground behind Elpis. "Turn around, Elpis," Primum said calmly. Elpis obeyed. The man's body lay motionless behind them. "All right," Primum said, brushing off his hands. "Let's keep moving. That fool cost us enough time already. Try not to get captured again, eh?" "Wait. Primum, the man—" "Ah, you're right. I should burn the body." "The body? You killed him. How?" "He talked too much. I figured he was a necromancer, so I didn't give him the chance to use any tricks." "You figured?" Primum chuckled. "No, only women can be true necromancers. But these days, I've seen stranger things." He paused, voice softening. "What a waste." He sighed. "Elpis, do me a favor. Keep your eyes forward while I burn the body. No need to see more than you must." Elpis nodded. The sound of fire crackled behind him. "All right," Primum said finally. "Let's get back to task, shall we?" "Right," Elpis replied, straightening. "Hey, Primum," Elpis said after a moment. "How do you know he wasn't a necromancer?" "If you ever have the misfortune of facing one," Primum said quietly, "you'll know. That one was just an occultist dabbling in things he shouldn't." "Wow. And that thing you did, where you appeared behind him, was that auramancy?" "What do you mean?" Primum asked, feigning confusion. "The magic thing. What was it?" "I'm no auramancer. I just walked up to him." "No, you didn't," Elpis said, frustrated. Primum laughed. "You sure that bird didn't knock your head too hard?" he teased, ruffling Elpis's hair. "You did something, Primum. Teach me." Primum laughed again. "Can't teach what I don't know. Now, onwards, my boy." He walked toward the endless line of burial mounds. "Please, can I at least have a hint?" Elpis begged. "Can't give a hint to something I don't know," Primum said with a grin. "You've got quite the imagination, boy."